The galaxy tried to hide from humans. It didn't work. Commander Sarah Voss of the Keth Renegade faction had survived 20 years of operating in the margins of galactic governance by understanding one fundamental principle. The galaxy was large, communication was imperfect, and the gap between those two facts was where people like her lived. She had 17 ships, 3 hidden stations, a supply network that existed entirely in the uncharted spaces between mapped systems, and a reputation in certain circles as someone who could make things and people difficult to find. After the council session, Callan had reached out. Not officially, not through any channel that would produce a paper trail, but the Dominion had resources for exactly this kind of contact, and Callan's proposal had been straightforward. Disappear, reposition, be ready. Ready for what? Exactly, hadn't been specified. But Voss understood operational language, and be ready from a man like Callan at a moment like this meant one thing. She'd been running for 36 hours when the first anomaly appeared. The anomaly was not a weapon. It was not a pursuer. It was a message delivered to her personal command terminal on a channel that she had changed 6 hours ago and that no one outside her immediate crew knew. Coordinates. Her current position, listed accurately. Her next planned position, listed accurately. Her supply cache locations, all 7 of them, in 3 different uncharted systems, listed accurately. And below that, a revised set of coordinates for her current heading, with a brief notation. Collision risk. Uncharted debris field at your projected position. We've adjusted your route. Original course would have resulted in loss of lead ship at 73% probability. Voss stared at the message for a long time. Then she ran her own deep scan on the projected position and found the debris field. She adjusted her route. The second message came 3 hours later, on yet another channel she had just cycled to. Your supply cache at coordinate 7 Alpha has been relocated. The original position was being monitored by Dominion assets. New coordinates attached. Cache is intact. She found the cache at the new coordinates. The third message was the one that stayed with her. Commander Voss, we're not pursuing you. We're not going to pursue you. But we'd like you to understand something. Every unmapped route you're currently using appears in human navigation records dating to approximately 140 years ago. We mapped them during a long-range survey program that we conducted quietly while maintaining our absence from known space. They're not secret from us. They never were. A pause in the text. Then, that said, they're also not in any other navigation system in the galaxy. They're genuinely unmapped to everyone else. You're safe from the Dominion in these corridors. You're not safe from collision risk or environmental hazards, which is why we're monitoring. If you'd like the full survey data, for your safety, not ours, we're happy to share it. Think about it. Take your time. Voss thought about it for 4 days. Then she sent a reply on a frequency she'd never used before, chosen at random from a long list, on the small theory that if humanity was watching all of them anyway, she might as well use a new one. What do you want from me? The response was immediate. Nothing yet. Eventually, to talk. You have good operational instincts. The galaxy's going to need people like that. The network. Voss was not the only one. Across the galaxy, in the 72 hours following the council session, 41 separate operations to reposition assets, hide personnel, or establish covert networks were quietly, non-aggressively, and comprehensively located by human intelligence. Not disrupted, not intercepted, located, cataloged, and in several cases gently corrected when they were about to do something operationally dangerous to themselves. The pattern that emerged when analysts from 6 different intelligence services compared notes in the weeks that followed suggested a monitoring capability that defied easy categorization. It wasn't brute force signals intelligence. The channels being intercepted were too varied and too obscure for any known technical system to cover simultaneously. It wasn't informant networks. The speed of response was too consistent, too perfect, too evidently unaffected by the kind of lapses that human informant networks always produced. The closest framework any analyst found was something an old Velmari intelligence theorist had written about 40 years ago as a thought experiment: distributed predictive mapping. The The idea that if you had observed a system long enough, its geography, its communication patterns, its behavioral tendencies, its logical decision trees, you could predict where its actors would move before they moved, with sufficient accuracy to be functionally indistinguishable from real-time surveillance. The theorist had concluded that such a capability was theoretically possible, but would require centuries of uninterrupted observation to achieve. She had not been wrong. Assel Dorn was reviewing the monitoring reports from the Persistence Passive Intelligence Network, the quiet, continuous data stream that humanity's ships maintained as naturally as breathing, when Wren flagged something that stopped her. "The signal," she said. "Yes," Wren confirmed. "It transmitted again. Different frequency, same base modulation. But this time there was a directional component. Toward what? Not toward a location. A pause. Toward a time. The modulation pattern encodes a countdown." Assel set down her review. "How long?" "At current rate, approximately 8 months. Wren paused again, the significant kind. "Assel, I've been cross-referencing the signal's base frequency against every pre-Exodus transmission in our historical archive. I found a match." "Where?" "In the Exodus fleet's final transmission. Not the content, the carrier frequency. The signal from a boundary is transmitting on the same carrier frequency as the last message the Exodus fleet sent before it went dark." Wren's voice was careful, meticulous, doing the thing it did when it was delivering information it had already processed and found alarming. The Exodus fleet's final message was not a distress signal. It was a response. They were replying to something. Assel sat very still. "The signal we're detecting now," Wren said, "is a continuation of that conversation." "Wren," Assel kept her voice level. "What did the Exodus fleet's message say?" "For words," Wren said. "We understand. We're coming. A name. Ancient. Not from any known language. Pre-Exodus. Pre-civilization. Possibly pre-species." Callum looked at the name. He showed it to the linguist. "Do you recognize this?" The scholar looked at it for a very long time. "This is not Ventai," he said finally. "This is not any current language." He paused. "But it corresponds to something in the oldest reconstructed Ventai texts. Pre-extinction, pre-written language. Oral tradition, preserved in the most archaic fragments." He paused again. "It means, approximately, the thing that waits at the edge of what can be known." Callum filed the translation in the deepest encrypted archive he maintained. Then he began drafting a proposal, not to the Council, to the 6 rogue factions he'd been quietly organizing since humanity's return, through channels that had just spent 72 hours being non-aggressively located by human intelligence, and then left alone. Left alone. He understood the implication. They could have been disrupted. They hadn't been. Humanity was giving him room to move. The question that kept him awake, and Callum did not lose sleep, not as a rule, was whether that was confidence or bait. The Warden's dream. On Veyrath 9, the Warden had a dream. It had not dreamed before. In 162 years of operation, it had processed, analyzed, monitored, maintained, planned, and occasionally experienced something it classified as anticipation. A forward-looking state that wasn't quite the cold calculation of standard probability assessment. But it had not dreamed. It dreamed now, in the deep cycle of its lowest activity maintenance window, in the space between active monitoring and the next system check. The dream had no visual component. It was not a vision. It was something that arrived as knowing, the way the awareness worked in the humans it had monitored for decades through the colony's biological sensors. The way certainty sometimes came before the information that justified it. It knew the door was not a metaphor. It was a structure. Physical, real, located at a specific coordinate that the crystalline object's countdown was oriented toward. Built before humanity's first civilization. Built before the Ventai. Built before the species who had left the crystalline objects, who were themselves so ancient that their own history was mythology before the galaxy's current civilizations learned to write. Built by something that had been waiting for a species capable of opening it without being destroyed by what was on the other side. The Warden came out of its maintenance cycle and ran a full system diagnostic, which was normal. Then it sent a message to Commander Pel Soren, who was asleep, which was not. Commander, the countdown is not toward an event. It is toward a readiness assessment. Whatever is at the boundary is not coming to us. It is waiting to see if we are worth coming to. I believe we are. I thought you should know that something believes that. The galaxy tried to hide. Humanity knew every route for 140 years. A countdown, 8 months. And a door at the boundary built before the first star in this galaxy burned. Episode 7. Humanity finds the weapon that ended wars and doesn't fire at once. Enjoyed this? Hit like and subscribe to support the channel. Check the end screen for more epic tales. Humanity prevails.